Hi, I'm Cody Anderson, one of the pastors at Parker United Methodist Church. If you do not know my husband, Jason, then you probably don't know what a great artist he is. He has this knack for being able to take a piece of paper with a pencil and be able to sketch an image that he is looking at. And if you look at his picture, you definitely know what he has been drawing. A horse actually looks like a really good horse when Jason draws it. When he paints, I know exactly the beautiful sunflower field that he was looking at or the beautiful landscape that he had seen as he is painting. Me, on the other hand, let's just say my artistic skills probably are lacking just a little bit. If I see a image of a horse in front of me, well, first of all, it's probably going to look a lot more stick figure than most horses would look. The head is going to be completely out of proportion with the body. The legs might even look too short. You probably are going to wonder if I'm actually drawing a horse. I can draw a flower, but I can't draw a lot of flowers. The depth perception isn't always there. It doesn't really capture what I'm looking at. And I keep thinking about the artists throughout centuries who have been able to capture beautiful images before them. You know, the ones, the realists, the artists who were able to see something right in front of them, whether it is a person or a beautiful landscape or a garden, and they're able to draw and to paint and make those images look lifelike. And then you have the other artists. You know what they say, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. And sometimes art is that way. And it's harder for us to be able to really capture, really understand what that artist was trying to draw or to paint. For instance, Picasso. We know that Picasso tried to paint images, but, especially of people, but you really have to kind of strain to be able to see the people that he drew in his pictures. And you really have to use your imagination to figure out what he was really trying to portray before him. Why am I talking about artists and images and capturing those moments? Well, on Sunday, we talked about how God created each of us in the image of God. We hear that in the first creation story that's found in Genesis chapter 1. After God has created the heavens and the earth and the land and the water and the birds and the fish and the animals, God then says, let us create humans in our image. And so we know that we bear the image of God. And then on Sunday, we also looked at that scripture from Matthew 22, where Jesus is holding that coin and they're trying to trick him. And he says, give to Caesar what is Caesar's. And then he flips that discussion, that conversation, and he says, and give to God what is God, what is God's. Right? That image on the coin was of Caesar. And so he's trying to tell them, give what is Caesar's to Caesar. But then he flips it and says, give to God what is God's. The image of God being on all of our lives. Give of ourselves what belongs to God. So I've been thinking a lot about that image, that picture of how we understand God to be. Now, I have two children, two boys, Matthew and Jackson. And I remember when Matthew was young and everybody would always say, he looks just like his dad. He looks just like Jason. And I would get really, really upset and almost hurt and angry because I'm the one that carried this child for 9 months. I gave birth to him. How does he not look like me at all? Right? That there is a part of me that is there, but it's just a little bit harder to see because Jason's image comes out so much more in the face of Matthew. And I was thinking about how sometimes it's hard for us to see the image of God within ourselves or within other people. So, what is the image of God that we want to portray to the world? What is the image of God that we want others to be able to see and experience? There are those who are able to exactly show people what the image of God looks like. I'm thinking about people like Mother Teresa or those neighbors that you know who just give and give and give of themselves. And it's so easy to see that reflection, that image of God within them. And then there are others who you really have to kind of strain to look for. Like, you know, the image of God is within them because we all have been created in the image of God. And yet it's really hard to see that image sometimes. We have to really look hard. It might look like a stick figure or unproportionate sizes or a Picasso before us. We really have to dive deep and look deep and just trust sometimes that that image of God is there within them. And I know you can think of those people. You could probably name those people in your life as well. We have those people who are really good at showing the image of God. And then we have those who it's a little bit harder to see. But we all know that we carry that image of God. So, what image of God do we want to portray to the world? Do we want the image of God that others see acted out in our lives be a really easy thing for people to see, where they don't have to try to break away all of the hard pieces that don't really make sense? And do we want them to be able to just go, there is God's image. That person is full of love and generosity. That person cares. That person shows kindness. That person leads the way in truth and love wherever they go. Or do we want to keep living in the way of the world and make it hard for people to see and understand who God is? Because we see a lot of that in our world today too, where Christians, people who say that they follow Jesus, trying to see the image of Jesus in them is a little bit harder to see. And it makes the world go, there's no way I want to follow that Jesus. There's no way that that person could love God. There's just no evidence. I hope that this sermon series has helped you reflect a little bit on who you were created to be, how you bear the image of God, and how God is love. So we ought to love in the same way. You see, stewardship isn't about just giving of our money, but it's about aligning ourselves more with who God is. Really bearing the image of God so that others can easily see and know who God is. And they'll know we are Christians by what? By our love, by our kindness, by our goodness, by our compassion, by our self-control, by being able to forgive, by our generosity. The world is in a space of hurting, and it is our joy to be able to share the image of God with others. So, this week is Halloween, Friday. Halloween is one of those fun holidays where kids dress up and we get to hand out candy, but also It is a direct reflection of how we should be as image bearers of God. That we should leave the light on for our neighbors, for those who are seeking, for those who are walking along and just need a little boost. That we should have our doors open for people who we don't know, who might look a little bit different, who might even be scary to us. And our welcome for people should be that of a joyful and giving spirit where we welcome them, we're excited to see them, we share the love of God as we give to them, even if it's just a piece of candy. So, as we reflect on being image bearers, and as we reflect on how we are to be a people who are generous and full of love, let us leave our light on in this dark world. Let us shine the light of God so that others can see it as a beacon and come and experience the love of God. Let us open our doors wide and let us give generously to others so that when they see us, when they see how we are acting in the world, they go, there is the image of God. That right there is God's love and grace that is alive in this world and is given to me. Let us truly be the image bearers of God.